Hey everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. My guest today is Susan Benigas, and she is the Executive Director of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. And please welcome her to the show. It's so great to finally get a chance to talk to you.
Well, thank you, AJ. It is just my pleasure. I'm so happy to be with you today.
Yeah, I love your story because you have quite an esteemed title, and yet you're not a medical professional. How did that come to be? And in case viewers aren't familiar with the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, maybe a few words on what exactly that is.
Absolutely. Well, the American College of Lifestyle Medicine is the nation's medical professional association for physicians, allied health professionals, healthcare executives who are passionate about a lifestyle medicine first approach to healthcare. And so what that means is that contrasted to kind of our status quo system that is focused on diagnosing symptoms and treating those symptoms with ever increasing quantities of pills and procedures, lifestyle medicine physicians and providers are committed to first attempting to identify and eradicate the root cause of disease. So then the clinical outcome goal is health restoration as opposed to simply disease management. And so it's now recognized by many as the fastest growing medical professional association in the country.
Well, that is fantastic. How long has lifestyle medicine been around? Maybe since Hippocrates, but we didn't call it that?
That is so funny. As we shift to the PowerPoint presentation, we'll be talking about Hippocrates, as a matter of fact, because, I think that truly he probably is the founding father of what is known today as lifestyle medicine. Although we give kudos in the modern day to Dean Ornish, who is really recognized as sort of the father of the modern age lifestyle medicine. But ACLM's been around since 2004.
2004, that is fantastic. But you're not a medical professional, so how did that come to be? I know the story, but I think the viewers would find it very interesting.
It takes those of us who are not medical professionals to be part of this, galvanized force for change, because it takes all the different skill sets. So my background is in organizational leadership and management, heavy emphasis in marketing, communications, PR, major event production. So my background was working with everything from political campaigns to pro sports to worksite health promotion and a whole array of not-for-profit and for-profit clients. And so I always say that I kind of specialize in breathing life into vision. And so for me, what thrust me initially into the health and wellness space was back in 2003. St. Louis, where I've lived since 2000, found itself on every fat and unhealthy list that was published, from Men's Health to Self magazine. And I was working with the mayor's office at the time. And so I said to the mayor, we really should not take this lying down. This is not good PR for the city, nor is it really is. These are serious issues that need to be combated. Well, as a result of this, I ended up kind of pulling together a public-private partnership of the mayor's office, the county executive, and one of the largest cable providers, which at the time was headquartered in St. Louis, called Charter, now called Spectrum. And we kicked off something called Get Hooked on Health St. Louis that became this major campaign throughout the metropolitan area. We drew about 36,000 people to the first Get Hooked on Health Expo. And that's what really thrust me into this arena. And I became known as sort of the Get Hooked on Health lady. And then that led to, soon thereafter, I joined an organization as president of a worksite health promotion company. And that is when we'd go in and do biometric screenings and health risk assessments. And when any employees were found to have a chronic condition or multiple risk factors, we would say, well, you need to see your primary care physician and get a script. And it was all about beating the drum of medication persistency. And I finally took a step back at one point and thought, something is just not right here. I don't believe that God designed us all to become chronically ill and dependent on pharmaceuticals. And yet, in this country, we have 70% of all Americans, 90% of all seniors taking prescription meds. We spend more in this country than the rest of the world combined. And so I was really just starting to question many of the things that we had always just believed were in our best interest. I mean, even at the time, the food pyramid, we were wanting to interview, as part of the company I was running at the time, the then creator of the food pyramid, who was wanting to see many of the questions and then not approve the questions. And it just seemed odd. We were just wanting to understand the rationale behind why the food pyramid was what it was. Well, I was introduced to a presentation by an oncologist in St. Louis who stood up and was talking about what poor health she'd found herself in her early 50s, and skin condition, arthritis, fibromyalgia. And she held up a book and said, but this book has changed my life and is changing the lives of many of my patients. And it was the China study by T. Colin Campbell. I know that has, been the catalyst of paradigm shift for many, many people. And it certainly was for me. And this was in late 2007. And so I went out, bought the book, and in reading the book, I just couldn't put it down. Not only did it connect the dots between our food choices and optimal health or lack thereof, but it really shone this light on the fact that we didn't really have a healthcare system. We had more of a disease and disability care system. And that was highly motivating to really just understand that, whoa, this is broken. And I just became on a mission to try to be part of the solution. And so that then led a few years later to, I developed the branding and wrote the conceptual overview for the Plantrician Project. Ended up joining forces with Scott Stoll and Tom Dunham to found the Plantrician Project. That led to our co-founding the International Plant-Based Nutrition Healthcare Conference. And the first one was held in late 2013. And it was, and then during this time, after reading the China study, meeting Dr. Campbell, being introduced to Dr. Esselstyn and Ornish and McDougall, and I started voraciously searching everything in this space and became aware of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, which was the medical professional association that represented all of lifestyle medicine, but food is medicine as a foremost pillar. And anyway, so that was, but I could not be part of ACLM because I wasn't a clinician, as you said. But shortly after the first International Plant-Based Nutrition Healthcare Conference, Dr. Wayne Dysinger, who was a past president of ACLM, reached out and we connected, and one thing led to another. And he really recruited me for several months to join ACLM. And, I was the impetus behind the Plantrician Project even was that individuals, AJ, may read books or watch documentaries and feel led to change their dietary lifestyle in particular. But if they go to their unenlightened medical professional and he or she says, well, that's crazy, where will you get your protein or where will you get your calcium? I mean, too often they will hold the trump card because a physician's word is second only to God's. And so we knew that we had to fill this gaping void of food as medicine and lifestyle medicine in medical education. And that was the impetus for the Plantrician Project, because we need an army of all medical professionals in this country and around the world who have been effectively trained in the evidence that overwhelmingly supports the efficacy of lifestyle medicine and food as medicine. And but I really did become convinced that we were going to transform healthcare in this country based on the field of lifestyle medicine, that wherein a whole food, plant predominant dietary lifestyle is the foremost recommendation. And so for that reason, I joined ACLM in the spring of 2014 as its executive director. And so coming up next spring, it'll be 8 years. And we've seen tremendous growth. It's really just been the stars aligning and wind in the sails of everything, thanks to the incredible work you've been doing, that so many that have been founding members of ACLM and really at the forefront of lifestyle medicine and championing food as medicine. So ACLM went back then fewer than 500 members, now over 7,000 members. Back then, one part-time event coordinator, now a staff of nearly 35. So the growth has been phenomenal, and yet we've really only scraped the surface.
Well, that's incredible. So you do a conference for ACLM and for Plantrician. So you're doing 2 conferences a year, right?
Well, yes, I'm not, I must give Tom Dunham the kudos on producing the International Plant-Based Nutrition Healthcare Conference, but I serve on the board of directors of the Plantrician Project and do help to co-host that particular conference. And then the ACLM conference is coming up in November, Lifestyle Medicine 2021, lmconference.org. And we already have, well over 1,500 registered for that event. We're doing it virtually again this year because of the Delta variant. And but it kicks off November 7th through 10th, and have an incredible lineup, over 80 expert presenters that will be part of the pre and post conference workshops and the lineup for that particular conference.
Well, we have
CME accreditation for like almost 65 CME units. So lots of content that's packed in.
We have a retired physician watching, saying it was the ACLM conference that projected him forward into following a plant-based diet and connecting with Dr. McDougall and things like that. So, I'm curious, Susan, can lay people attend both of these conferences, and what is the difference?
Absolutely. They are both medical education events, meaning they're both CME, CE accredited. So while the content is very scientific and evidence-based, so it's appropriate for medical professionals, certainly it's open to anyone who would like to register to attend. And the nice thing with both of these conferences this year is because they were virtual, they were all recorded, and the content is even available after the fact.
That's great. Would you say that more medical professionals go to the lifestyle medicine conference than the more lay people might go to the Plantrician one?
I would say both are heavily attended. The vast majority of attendees are medical professionals, physicians, allied health professionals, healthcare executives, even those in academia as well that are in medical education and other healthcare education fields. But certainly there are others that are just, on a mission to help champion the cause, and everyone's welcome to register.
And both conferences, medical professionals can get CME, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. We have somebody asking, what about dental CEs?
I don't think that there's dental CEs yet for either. But that is something that we've heard a lot about, that there's tremendous demand. And we know that the whole oral systemic health, the health of one's body from an oral systemic standpoint typically is a snapshot into overall health. And so incredibly important there. And the content is very, very relevant for those in the dental profession, but no specific CEs to that. But typically for all, the AMA, PRA Category 1 units can be converted to at least fulfill some of the annual CME requirements.
Great. Somebody's asking what my shirt says, so I'll just go, got kale.
Got kale.
And here's a question from an RN who's watching live. Where can I find it? It was about, yes, here it is. How can I find a role, this is from Victoria, that will fully align with my views on lifestyle medicine?
Oh gosh, great question. So under the ACLM umbrella, we have, everything from a corporate roundtable to a health systems council to over 24 member interest groups. And one of our first member interest groups that was established back in 2015 is the APRN member interest group. And nurse practitioner Kelly Freeman was the founding chair of that group. And so our member interest groups that represent everything from nursing to registered dietitians to lifestyle medicine health coaches and a whole array of different special interests and There's information about all of those under the membership tab at lifestylemedicine.org. And members are welcome to join one or more of those. And there's just tremendous energy and enthusiasm in those groups. And so we would welcome her to become part of that.
That is wonderful. Can almost any health professional be certified in lifestyle medicine or get some kind of a training, advanced training or certification?
That's a great question. Back in 2016, the American Board of Lifestyle Medicine was born, and it really operates as a companion organization to the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. And so the ABLM hosts the annual certification exam. So this year it's hosted the end of November, the first part of December, and will be for the foreseeable future during those times. And it's offered at Prometrics testing centers. And ABLM provides certification for MDs and DOs. And then eligible allied health professionals, and there's a full list of those who are eligible at ablm.org on the American Board of Lifestyle Medicine website. And certainly all master's level allied health professionals are eligible to sit for that exam, as well as select bachelor's level allied health professionals too.
Right. I always thought it'd be fun if I could just take the test, just see if I could pass.
You and me both. We who have no official initials behind our names. Yes, I have a feeling you would ace it, hands down.
That would be fun because we know who my personal doctor is Dr. Wayne Dysinger.
Love Dr. Wayne Dysinger. He is, as a matter of fact, AJ, he is one of 4 recipients of ACLM's Trailblazer Award. So our Lifetime Achievement Award winners so far are Dean Ornish, Caldwell Esselstyn, T. Colin Campbell, and John McDougall. Our 4 Trailblazer Award winners so far, all of whom will be featured in the Trailblazer panel as part of the upcoming conference, are Wayne. He's the most recent recipient, Dr. Neil Barnard, Michael Greger, and founding president of ACLM, John Kelly.
Wow. Is your conference this year virtual, in person, both?
It is virtual this year.
Wow, that makes it easier for a lot of people to attend.
It does. It was intended to be live until the Delta variant was predicted back in July to surge late October, early November. And so we did the pivot to virtual conference.
Well, that's great. That's great. I know that you have prepared a few slides for us if you'd like to share them.
I'd be happy to. And it's really just to kind of just give the background of lifestyle medicine, to talk about the powerful why that really reinforces the field, because it's a combination of human health and planetary health and economic health. And so there's a major why that definitely drives, I think, the momentum that we're seeing in the tremendous growth. So let me share my screen.
I love what you said about breathing life into vision. That is a great tagline.
Oh, thank you, AJ. Well, hey, it takes a team, right? All of us working together. But so yeah, we'll just, I've got a lot of slides. A lot of these we'll just kind of touch on very quickly. But I think it's important that you have so many people that you touch, AJ, many of whom are medical professionals. And we hear every single week from medical professionals who find the American College of Lifestyle Medicine as their medical professional home. And they're like, oh my goodness, I feel like I found my tribe. And so we really appreciate the opportunity just to let all in your viewing audience know that the American College of Lifestyle Medicine is there to support them. And it truly is a magnet for purpose, passion-driven people. And so lifestyle medicine, powerful solution for our nation and our world. Let's see here. The power of why, the compelling why that's fueling the momentum of the field. So we've talked a little bit about my journey that just included all of these things that we've already touched on. And so it is lots of organizations that are working to transform health and redefine healthcare. And lifestyle medicine is a solution for sustainable health, sustainable healthcare, and a sustainable world. And I think when people understand the inextricable connectedness of all of this, it really reinforces why a lifestyle medicine first approach to healthcare and food as medicine is so critically important. And lifestyle medicine defined, it's the use of evidence-based therapeutic lifestyle interventions, including a whole food plant predominant dietary lifestyle, regular physical activity, restorative sleep, stress management, the avoidance of risky substances, and positive social connection as a primary modality delivered by clinicians trained and certified in the field to prevent, treat, and often reverse chronic disease. And we say that it's synonymous with real health care, delivers superior outcomes, cost containment, and it really is the solution that our nation and world need. And it's these 6 pillars, we call them, the 6 domains of lifestyle medicine that are all inextricably connected and so important to manifest whole person health, even though we do know that food often does trump all. And there's lifestyle in medicine and lifestyle as medicine. Lifestyle in medicine is what we just talked about. It's therapeutic lifestyle intervention for disease treatment and reversal and prevention. And then lifestyle as medicine. It's David Katz, one of our past presidents, would say, if lifestyle is the medicine, culture is the spoon, and that we need to create cultures that really support the healthy choice being the easy choice. And you asked earlier, who was the founder of lifestyle medicine? Well, you nailed it, AJ. It is Hippocrates, right? Hippocrates often used lifestyle modifications such as diet and exercise to treat diabetes and other chronic conditions. And it really, all things old are new again, right? This is my favorite Hippocrates quote. Illnesses do not come upon us out of the blue. They are developed from small daily sins against nature. When enough sins have accumulated, illness will suddenly appear. And I think that, we live in a society where everything is immediate, right? Immediate. So when we think about, sadly, when a bullet hits someone and death occurs, there's an immediate cause reaction. People understand exactly what caused that death. Whereas with chronic disease, we know now, based on research, that it can even be preconception of the mother and her health, certainly while she's pregnant. And then from the moment that baby's born, it's everything in our lives that can eventually manifest in health or lack thereof. And so it is true. It is these small daily sins. Heart disease doesn't just occur at the age of 60. It is the accumulation of eating the wrong things, not eating the right things, being physically inactive. And then Hippocrates, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. These are all the people, many of whom are dear friends of yours, AJ, who were involved in ACLM since its inception. It was Dr. John Kelly, who was the founding president of ACLM, and many of these folks, Dr. Hans Deal, Caldwell Esselstyn, Walter Willett, T. Colin Campbell, who really understood, even in 2004, how urgently needed a lifestyle medicine first approach to healthcare was and is far more today. And the compelling why of lifestyle medicine is not only addressing the non-communicable chronic disease epidemic we have and increased vulnerability, but the lengthening of morbidity. People living a long time, but living compromised lives, and unsustainable costs, as well as the global sustainability issues, some of which we'll touch on today. And it was the China study, as I explained, that was the catalyst for my paradigm shift, and has been for so many. The New York Times said this was the most in-depth study of the relationship between nutrition and human health ever done in the history of mankind. And so we have a debt of gratitude to Dr. Campbell. And he says the closer we get to consuming a diet of whole plant-based foods, the better off we'll be. And then Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, excuse me, who also is just one of the giants of the field. And he's all known to say, heart disease is a toothless paper tiger that need never exist. And yet if it does exist, it need never progress. His famous quote. and Dr. Dean Ornish and all of the tremendous research he's done with the lifestyle heart trial. He's done tremendous research on prostate cancer now into Alzheimer's, and very much viewed as the father of modern day lifestyle medicine. COVID-19 has really shown this bright light on the urgent need to address the underlying conditions that have exacerbated the virus's most harmful effects and the disproportionate impact on our underserved communities. And so, it's really, I think, in heightened awareness about the fact that we must address the vulnerability in our population caused by the incredible levels of chronic disease that we have. And yet heart disease, even last year, continued to be the #1 killer. And the facts speak for themselves. I mean, to say that we have an obesity epidemic in the United States would be an understatement, with over 70% of Americans already overweight or obese, and 1 in 3 children. I mean, this is unsustainable. And heart disease, the leading killer, it wasn't even on the radar screen 100 years ago, and yet now it's the leading killer. Over 70 million Americans with hypertension. Cancer now, the trajectory that it's predicted will overtake heart disease as the leading killer. And we have a looming global pandemic of type 2 diabetes. And we know that type 2 diabetes is preventable, treatable, often reversible, and it is directly tied to dietary lifestyle. And so we have a wake-up call in this country, not only because we're spending so much on healthcare, far more than any other industrialized nation, highest per capita in the world. 90% of our seniors, as we talked about earlier, are taking prescription meds. We've got the lengthening of morbidity, the trends in our children of type 2 diabetes. It's now predicted that 1 in 3 children born in 2000 or later will end up with type 2 diabetes in their lifetime, 1 in 2 for Hispanic children. Yet, this 85% of healthcare expenditures that pay for the treatment of conditions rooted in poor lifestyle choices, in some ways, that's good news. It means we can do something about it before it's too late. And our chronic disease epidemic, over 60% of adults in the United States already have been diagnosed with 1 chronic disease, over 40% with 2 or more. And sadly, too many children now fall into this category. What used to be called adult onset type 2 diabetes no longer can be called adult onset because so many children are being diagnosed. And we cannot allow that to continue. And on the world stage, while in 2012, it was 68% of all deaths worldwide that were tied to non-communicable chronic diseases, the stat now is 71. So it's inching up. So this is not just a problem for the United States. It truly is a problem for the world. And it's very much tied to dietary lifestyle. While all 6 domains of lifestyle medicine are so critically important, food does trump all. It truly, truly does. And so, you look at all the statistics that have come out. This is the CDC that talks about diet as the leading cause of chronic disease and disability. And the Institute of Health Metrics and Evaluation, which is the world's largest repository of health-related data, in its 2019 Global Burden of Disease report, and looking at data from nearly 200 countries, found that it was what people are and are not eating to be the leading cause of disease and death, surpassing tobacco use and other risk factors. And hey, AJ, I know you've seen this picture a lot of times, right? The standard American diet. And what is it? On average, about 63% packaged processed foods, 25% animal protein and dairy, 12% fruits and vegetables, of which 6% are French fries, and ketchup is included as a vegetable. And we wonder why we're overfed, undernourished, nutrient starved, fiber deficient, and we're reaping the consequence of this. And it is a sad way of eating that we've exported to the world that is far too heavily laden with the things that have no fiber, and are just causing disease. And we should be really focused on eating those foods that grow from the ground and as close to nature's package as possible, because those are the foods that are fiber-filled and nutrient-dense, antioxidant-rich, These are the foods that protect our health and fight disease. And yeah, the weapons of mass expansion, mass destruction. I feel really strongly, and AJ, maybe this would be something we could work on together. I think we need to have a CEO summit where we call all the CEOs of fast food restaurants together and say, people need convenience. Fast food isn't going to go away. You've been part of the problem. We now implore you to become part of the solution. And I think that, you know, we can rally together. And so maybe we can work together and make that happen. And so why haven't we heard this before? You know, there's little profit in optimal health. And we do have this disease care system really versus a healthcare system. And there is immense profit in disease, sadly. And it's this contrast of striving for disease management as opposed to health restoration. You know, so much of our medical establishment, they've not even been trained in the fact that health restoration is possible, because the training in our medical education system has been very allopathic focused to treat symptoms with, again, ever increasing quantities of pills and procedures. Industry backed versus peer reviewed science. We hear Dr. Campbell talk about this so often, and the big industry, big money influences, and the misinformation and confusion that really do drive profits, and lots of savvy marketing and advertising. And so it's a big battle ahead, but progress is being made. And there's been such a disconnect. I love this Wendell Berry quote. People are fed by the food industry, which pays no attention to health, and are treated by the health industry, which pays no attention to food. And fortunately, the winds of change are blowing because of a lot of incredible work that you, AJ, and so many others have done for so many years, where the connection is beginning to emerge. And we realize that food addiction is real too, right? We hear Dr. Doug Lisle so often talk about this, that our kitchens have been hijacked, as well as our brain chemistry, biochemistry, hormones, and we've got a detox realign, and people really need to understand that this is a real problem. And so then, oh no, did my mouse freeze? There we go. And genes are not your destiny. This is another thing. There's several myths that always have to be dispelled. The protein myth, the calcium myth, the carb myth, and the I'm destined to become chronically ill and dependent on pharmaceuticals myth, that if my mom had it or my dad had it. But there are dictator genes that determine that your eyes will be brown or blue and your hair. And then there's committee genes that sort of influence. And chronic disease is really influenced. And Dr. Campbell would often say, you know, genes load the gun, but lifestyle pulls the trigger. And this is true. There can be genetic propensity, but the choices we make day in and day out about, you know, what we eat, how we move, how we think are what will just really trigger the genetic propensity. And so we need to make a lifestyle shift. And this is regarding everything. We need to alleviate stress and rest well, regular exercise, invest in positive relationships, avoid risky substances, and shift to this plant predominant whole food dietary lifestyle. And it's not about being perfect, right? It's about we can't let perfection be the enemy of good. We just have to really understand what the North Star is and strive toward that North Star. So now we're just going to focus a little bit on this inextricable connectedness between sustainable health, sustainable healthcare, and a sustainable world, because they are all inextricably connected. And we look at the economics. We touched on earlier that 85% or more of all dollars spent on healthcare in this country pay for the treatment of conditions rooted in poor lifestyle choices. I often say that I awaken every morning on a mission to preserve the solvency of our nation. You know, okay, it's a noble cause, and but it's really true. And this is good news, that so much of our spending in this country is preventable and can be reversed. But we all need to be in this together, and we need our medical professionals to be leading the way. And it's the members of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine who are really on the forefront of championing this. And then the American College of Lifestyle Medicine issued this statement earlier this year. It says, ACLM acknowledges that the leading cause of chronic disease and the leading cause of so many of our most pressing global sustainability issues is one and the same: our Western pattern diet. Shifting to a whole food, plant predominant dietary lifestyle is optimal in order to protect human health and fight disease. This dietary lifestyle pattern is also what is best for the planet, enabling us to preserve our natural resources, rein in greenhouse gas emissions, and feed what soon will be over 9 billion people on the face of the earth. So that is a compelling why. And we have very, very urgent issue: population growth, depletion of resources, and pollution. And quoting Hippocrates again, such a wise guy so long ago: if you want to learn about the health of a population, look at the air they breathe, the water they drink, and the places where they live. And yet, we have done some serious damage to ourselves, to human health, and to the planet as well. And yet we can be part of the solution. And nature itself is the best physician, said Hippocrates. When we think about our world's population, it is rather alarming. We really grew from 1 billion to 7 billion in a period of 200 years between 1800 and 2000. And we now are in the hockey stick. It's exponential growth at this point, predicted to be close to 10 billion by 2050. And there's 4 huge, grossly unsustainable situations: the exponential population increase, the overconsumption of stuff, fossil fuel dependence, and our food choices. And the big picture of water. We talk about so often that to produce an animal-based diet requires 10 times as much land, water, energy. Water is probably our most precious natural resource. So when we look at what is really consuming most of our water, is it bathrooms, lawns? It is agriculture. You see in the red in the pie chart here. And it's the appetite for meat, our insatiable desire for meat, which sadly is growing so rapidly in other parts of the world that are becoming more affluent. Here in the US, each person in 2018 consumed about 222 pounds of red meat and poultry on average. And we know that the emissions, the greenhouse gas caused by animal agriculture, is far more than all transportation of the world combined. And the most actionable thing any of us can do to decrease our environmental footprint on a day in and day out basis is to shift to a plant predominant dietary lifestyle, which also happens to be what's best for our health. And when we think about water, 1 pound of potatoes, it requires 60 gallons of water to produce. 1 pound of meat, 12,000 gallons of water to produce. So where can we save water? Eat more of this and eat less of this. And then people, we often hear, but where would we get our protein? Well, that is just a myth, because the best source of protein for humans comes from those things that grow from the ground and as close to nature's package as possible. And so the gorilla, who is very close in DNA to the human, no one is concerned about where they get their protein. And so many of these species are plant eating and are certainly not lacking in muscle mass, and neither should we be as well. And now I'm going to show a couple infographics from the Plantrician Project. At foodmath101.org, there's some great infographics that talk about planet Earth and how the planet Earth is covered by the equivalent of about 6 billion football fields. And it's estimated that it requires 2 football fields per person to grow the crops needed to feed the animals to produce a animal-based diet for that person. Yet on the same amount of land, up to 24 people can be fed a plant predominant dietary lifestyle. So when we already consider that we already have 7 billion people on the face of the earth, and there's only the equivalent of 6 billion football fields of land mass, just the sheer numbers show that we must, to accommodate what soon will be over 9 billion people, we must shift to a plant predominant dietary lifestyle. And even all the reports coming out lately about the deforestation in the Amazon, to graze land, to grow crops, to feed animals, it's removing the lungs of our earth. And with this shift to a plant-based diet, we'll be able to return much of this land to forested areas. And so delighted about the Eat Lancet report that came out in 2019 that began to really shine a light on this and inform the world that it is imperative that for the health of the planet and the people that we begin to shift to a plant predominant dietary lifestyle. And that was in January 2019 report. So just to recap, plant-based dietary lifestyle, 90% less water, 90% less land, 90% less energy. And it allows us to return farmland to forests, slow down climate change, spend far less on healthcare, and address the world hunger issues and buy enough time to fix the other issues. So now just to conclude, lifestyle medicine is the ultimate prescription. It's the prescription with only positive side effects. It's the prescription for protecting health and fighting disease. And it's a prescription for both human and planetary health, as we've just talked about. And again, here's Hippocrates. He just keeps popping up. The natural healing force within each of us is the greatest force in getting well. And again, lifestyle medicine's definition. And this is a really good picture that shows the difference, because so often we look at symptoms. Well, with lifestyle medicine, it's treating root causes of disease, where you focus on identifying and eradicating the root cause to bring about health restoration. And even in the face of epidemic levels of provider burnout, when you can practice medicine in a way that with a goal of health restoration, it really does reignite one's passion for why they went into the field of medicine to begin with, to become true healers. And that's what's really driving a lot of the growth that we're seeing at the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. And value-based care, as we shift from fee-for-service, which it'll be a long time before we shift completely away from that, but to more value-based care, that is synonymous with lifestyle medicine and truly what will usher in real healthcare reform when we shift to more shared medical appointments, and which will really increase patient satisfaction and reinforce peer support for sustainable behavior change. So the winds of change are definitely blowing in this direction. Lifestyle medicine, again, it's the path to sustainable health, sustainable healthcare, sustainable world. And medical education is foundational to all of this. We've got to fill the gaping void of lifestyle medicine and food as medicine in medical education. And it is the foremost priority for ACLM. And just in the last few years, ACLM has rolled out a number of incredible courses, because we realize that on average, physicians receive less than a half a semester on any of this in medical school, despite the fact that what we've talked about today are the leading drivers of disease and death. And so we really look at it across the entire medical education curriculum, from pre-professional through to UME, GME, so undergraduate medical education, graduate medical education, through CME, continuing medical education, and certification. And lifestyle medicine is in the center of it all. And that's why this is so important, and why ACLM's vision is that lifestyle medicine become the foundation of health and all health care. And it starts with having all of our medical professionals be effectively trained in evidence-based lifestyle medicine. And ACLM is helping to lead the charge for this with developing a robust offering of educational materials, most of which some are clinical practice materials for the providers themselves. Some are directed to patients that then funnel through our providers to their patients. This was the first course that we launched in partnership with ACPM, and it's the Lifestyle Medicine Core Competencies Program online course that brings to life in a 30-plus hour course the physician lifestyle medicine competencies that were first published in JAMA back in 2010. And then our lifestyle medicine syllabus, developed by Harvard's Beth Frades, the president-elect of ACLM. This syllabus is a free downloadable resource off of lifestylemedicine.org website. There's a companion 12-module PowerPoint that educators can use in their classrooms or for other reasons. And then there's a companion handbook as well. Many of these resources are free, others are available through ACLM's learning management system. Our culinary medicine curriculum, developed by former board member Stanford's Michelle Hauser, is an incredible resource. It's already been downloaded over 5,000 times by providers and educators in over 100 countries around the world, and with a real emphasis on the importance of integrating culinary medicine into medical education. And our lifestyle medicine residency curriculum, now licensed in over 80 residency curriculum sites around the country, and really would encourage anyone that's tied to any sort of a residency program to get in touch with us about incorporating this into your residency, especially family medicine residencies, PrevMed residencies, and so many others as well. And lifestyle medicine for coaches through a partnership with Well Coaches, and understanding the importance of lifestyle medicine trained coaches as part of this interdisciplinary team. And so this is a course that's available through the Well Coaches platform, and more information can be found at lifestylemedicine.org. And reversing type 2 diabetes and insulin resistance with lifestyle medicine, an 18-hour CME course, really designed to educate, equip, and empower providers to address the looming global pandemic of type 2 diabetes. And food is medicine for medical professionals. We just rolled out a robust offering of courses around this, as well as other clinical practice and research resources, including the Food is Medicine Jumpstart Guide, a whole 10-part series on food is medicine, the benefits of whole food plant-based nutrition. And this can be found in a curated portion of our website as foodasmed.org. So go to foodasmed.org to take advantage of the resources that are available there. And then our upcoming conference that kicks off November 7th, the theme this year, patient-centered, value-based, outcome-driven. Still plenty of time to register. And it will be a virtual conference that can be attended in the comfort of your own home. It'll be recorded. And so all the content can be consumed between November 7th and the end of the year for live CME credits. And you can learn more at lmconference.org. And certification, which we touched on earlier, AJ, that through the American Board of Lifestyle Medicine and even the International Board of Lifestyle Medicine, for those listening in your audience who live outside of the United States, it's a wonderful opportunity to receive this credential in the field. And through the Global Lifestyle Medicine, the American College of Lifestyle Medicine is part of a Lifestyle Medicine Global Alliance, networked with more than 24 medical professional associations representing the field around the world. And the certification exam is hosted in many places around the world, but here in the United States, it's available the end of November and early December. Registration's already closed this year to sit for this year's certification exam, but people are already registering for the 2022 exam. And this map shows all the little red stars are where the lifestyle medicine certification exam has been hosted. It's so exciting to see the world, not just the United States, awakening to the urgent need to infuse lifestyle medicine into healthcare all over the world. And the Lifestyle Medicine Board Review course, the Foundations of Lifestyle Medicine Board Review course, is the primary preparatory material offered through the American College of Lifestyle Medicine to sit for the exam. And that is available too, just by clicking on the Education tab at lifestylemedicine.org. And finally, we are a galvanized force for change. We say all the time that more than a medical professional association, that ACLM serves as a magnet for purpose, passion-driven people who are united in understanding what's at stake and understanding that the status quo is unsustainable. It is not in the best interest of providers, nor is it in the best interest of their patients. And we must all, those of us who are not clinicians and who are, must join together on a united mission to transform health and redefine healthcare. And ACLM is so inspirational to see the medical professionals flocking here to unite, to be the change they want to see in the world. And ACLM provides clinical support, education, certification, helps with with just clinical practice, all focused on treating, reversing, preventing chronic disease. And this interdisciplinary model, which is so very important, while ACLM began back in 2004 as a medical professional association for MDs and DOs, in 2012, it expanded to welcome allied health professionals with the real recognition that it's a team-based sport, that the physician may be the quarterback, but the nurses, the NPs, PAs, RDs, OTs, PTs, it takes a village, the exercise physiologists, to really usher in whole person health, rooted in evidence-based therapeutic lifestyle intervention. Love these quotes because I think it so represents, AJ, what we're all doing together. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world, because indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. And then Steve Jobs, people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. And we believe that we're going to change the world, no question. And the 3 stages of truth, we're somewhere in this continuum now. First, it's ridiculed. Next, it's violently opposed. And finally, it's accepted as being self-evident. And lifestyle medicine, it's the path to sustainable health, sustainable healthcare, and a sustainable world. It is the truth that is self-evident, no question. So really do hope that everybody will join us for Lifestyle Medicine 2021. More details at lmconference.org. Incredible lineup of presenters, many of whom have been your guest, AJ, over the years. And so it's a great conference. And if you're a medical professional out there, join us as a member of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, because it is the medical professional home for those dedicated to a lifestyle medicine and food as medicine first approach to real health care. So AJ, thank you. It has
oh my God, this was fabulous, Susan. Do you ever present at your own conferences? Because you're an excellent presenter.
Thank you. I typically am just hosting. I'm just introducing others to present, but I so appreciate your inviting me to be with you today. And normally I just don't even, I've had to just be nose down, working so hard behind the scenes to support the growth. And I feel so passionately about the work we're doing. You know, I do feel that it's one of the most important issues of our time. I often say that lifestyle medicine is the good news of health, hope, and healing that far too few people know about. And it's our job to bring that good news to the world. And that's what we're doing. And thank you for all that you do for it. You know, we started today and I said, you are a force of nature, and you are Chef AJ. And we're so grateful to you for your leadership.
Oh, thank you so much. Would you like to take it off screen share? And would you mind answering a few questions?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. So can somebody go to medical school now and choose lifestyle medicine as is what they're going to do?
You know, it is amazing. There are some medical schools really on the forefront of this, like University of South Carolina, Greenville, Jennifer Trilk, who's led the effort there to really build a medical school from the ground up. That has lifestyle medicine mapped throughout the entire curriculum. More and more medical schools are incorporating lifestyle medicine. And as I said, 82 different programs will have the lifestyle medicine residency program that will be part of that. So the winds of change are blowing, and there's a lot of information about all of this on our website. We support something called lifestyle medicine interest groups on campuses across the country, and on dozens and dozens of medical school campuses. There are lifestyle medicine interest groups that all are tied to a faculty liaison. And so that just shows the interest that's emerging. But what we really need is for the medical boards that our medical students sit for to incorporate lifestyle medicine questions. And what we know now is that few questions about lifestyle medicine are on those medical boards. So we are just launching, thanks to incredible funding and support through Bright Line Eating and the Food Revolution Network. We have just developed a 1,000 question bank that's being offered free of charge to medical schools to draw from for their categorical assessment exams, in hopes that this is all part of the path to really encouraging lifestyle medicine questions on those medical boards. And so for anyone interested in finding programs that have lifestyle medicine incorporated into them, I just urge you to go to lifestylemedicine.org.
Great. I remember in my 20s, I was a respiratory therapist and we had to get continuing education units. So can allied health professionals get them? Respiratory therapists, pharmacists, things like that?
Yes, we do have credit specifically for pharmacists. They have a certain kind of credit that's needed. And respiratory therapists, I believe so, because we are accredited for CME, CE, CEU, CNE, all sorts of accreditation. So we've covered most at this point, not all, but are continuing to add to those.
Great. And at your website, do you have a comprehensive list of all the lifestyle medicine doctors, at least in the United States?
We have on the ACLM site, there is a directory of those who are certified in the field. And then over on the Plantrician Project side, we're in the process of relaunching plantbaseddocs.com. And plantbaseddocs.com is the vision is that it will become sort of the world's repository and searchable directory of providers who are committed to leading with the food as medicine first approach. So both of those, but over at lifestylemedicine.org under the membership tab is a directory that one can access.
Right. And, I'm so pleased to discover that there are these organizations in other countries. I did a whole week of lifestyle medicine physicians just in India, and I'm doing now one in the UK. So it's pretty cool. It's catching on worldwide.
Oh, it is absolutely amazing. And it was in 2016 that ACLM, we started the Lifestyle Medicine Global Alliance, really for the benefit of many of the fledgling medical professional associations that were emerging. But wow, I mean, the one in Australia, the Australasian Society of Lifestyle Medicine, a very, very well-established, strong organization there. The British Society of Lifestyle Medicine, which is relatively new. I think it wasn't even established until about 4 years ago and already has nearly 1,000 members. And so as you saw on that map that I showed with all the little stars, where the certification exam has been hosted all over the world by the International Board of Lifestyle Medicine. It is, we exported the standard American diet. And we often think that we're probably the heaviest nation, have the largest incidence of obesity, but no, we really don't. It's several of the countries in the Middle East. And so this is a global issue that we're all in it together. And that's why it's just exciting to see all these organizations joining together, understanding that this must become the foundation of healthcare if we truly are to turn the tide on the unsustainable levels of obesity and chronic disease.
Absolutely. Jessie says, is there anything in particular that will be the focus of ACLM next year?
In 2022?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, I'd say we're going to just continue what we're doing and expand on it. When we looked at our strategic plan that was finalized earlier this year, and we revise that every 3 years, it was to go deeper and wider to really increase the depth and breadth and scope of our education. And so we have rolled out this year the multi-module Food is Medicine for Medical Professionals course. Additional modules of that will roll out next year. An Introduction to Lifestyle Medicine course will debut next year as well. For those that want a smaller bite and may not want to sit for, consume 30 hours of content. So there is a lot happening there. And then in the clinical practice space, we're working on things specific to addressing misaligned quality measures that are sort of the rules of our healthcare game that often don't allow lifestyle medicine providers to score, let alone win the game. We're looking at reimbursement issues, a lot of policy issues to really help identify and break down the barriers for lifestyle medicine providers to effectively practice their field. And so a lot of things happening there. We started this year the new healthcare, the health system council, and already have over 30 health systems that are part of that. Dramatic growth in the corporate roundtable. So these are sort of the organizational members that are part of our organization. And so lots of growth and expansion in all those areas.
Terrific. So Elizabeth asks, how can a person get a specialist in lifestyle medicine without exhausting our bank account? And I think what she means is very often it's out of pocket. Some of the best doctors in lifestyle medicine, unfortunately, just don't take insurance.
You know, the reimbursement issues, that is a barrier. You know, there's all sorts of different models to practice. And even in last year's conference, we showcased 8 different practice models, whether it's concierge, which often is more of an out-of-pocket, direct primary care. But there are CPT codes that can be used by physicians for reimbursement for commercial insurance as well as Medicare, Medicaid. So there are options out there for those who are searching for providers, and even so much now that can be done with telehealth. And we find that even telehealth shared medical appointments can be so incredibly effective. And so definitely search, and I would suggest going to either plantbaseddocs.com or visiting the membership tab at lifestylemedicine.org and checking that directory to look for other providers that might be in your area.
Great, thanks. Jesse says, my husband is a pulmonary critical care doctor who sees patients in the clinic, and he recommends to go plant-based. Where can he get information about incorporating this lifestyle with his patients?
Oh gosh, well, there's a lot of awesome information out there. So wearing my ACLM hat and a little bit of my Plantrician Project hat, through the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, we develop 2 kinds of educational resources. Some that are specifically for the providers, clinical practice resources and continuing medical education, and then a robust offering of patient-facing resources that are made available to our provider members that funnel through them to their patients. And then there's just a whole host of, I would say, like, AJ, your books, or I mean, there's so many resources that can be recommended, even through the Plantrician Project, the Plant-Based Nutrition Quick Start Guide. There's a pediatric version of that Quick Start Guide as well. They can even be ordered in mass quantities to hand out to patients, and that has been extremely effective. Thousands and thousands of those have been ordered as handouts for patients. And so the fortunate thing is, wow, I think about back just, 10 years ago when I began really on this journey, and there were so few resources. And today there's just an abundance. And so again, I direct you to certainly lifestylemedicine.org to check out some of those resources. And if her husband's a member in the secure member portal, many of those resources that are member only can be accessed there as well, and then distributed to patients.
Great, thank you. So Karen was saying McDonald's doesn't even have salads anymore. You were saying about getting healthy food on restaurants. I've worked with a couple when I lived in LA, and that doesn't seem much interest in the desert. But Kathy was wondering, what is your take on the ever increasing vegan junk food? Since they went to work with the fast industry, are they okay with things like Beyond Meat and the Impossible Burger type of foods?
Well, what we know is that foods that grow from the ground and as close to nature's package as possible, those are the foods that are fiber filled and nutrient dense, antioxidant rich. And there is concern that as plant-based becomes sort of like very hip and the thing to do, that people will falsely believe that if they just consume processed meat replacements, for example, that is a super healthy choice. And again, that does not solve the problem of humanity needing to consume fiber-filled, nutrient-dense, unprocessed foods. And one of our corporate roundtable members, as a matter of fact, is a company called Plantricious. And Plantricious is a seal that denotes not only plant-based, but plant nutritious. And it's guidelines that were created by Brenda Davis and Michael Greger and Scott Stoll that really sort of set forth the most healthful food requirements and what that would be. And so the Plantricious label is what can be found on those foods that truly are simply delicious and plant nutritious. And while from a global sustainability standpoint, all shifts in the direction of plant-based are extremely, extremely helpful. But if we're really looking at human health and fighting disease, protecting our health, it's really focused on those non-processed, whole plant-based foods.
Right, thank you. Randy was asking, what can individuals do in their community, and can anyone join ACLM, or do you have to be a medical professional?
Yes, as a matter of fact, the last time that the membership was expanded was 2018 to include not only physicians, and then it was allied health professionals, but then in 2018, healthcare executives, and those in other professions that are dedicated to advancing the field of lifestyle medicine. And so that really would cover anyone who feels passionately about this and really does want to dedicate their time, their resources, their talent to advancing, again, what many of us would say is one of the most important causes. So under the membership tab at lifestylemedicine.org, you can learn more about that. And then we have a retired category as well as a student trainee category.
Wow. Can people volunteer for your organization, or maybe even at the conference if they live? Where is the conference? Oh, it's virtual. So duh. I mean, it's not like
virtual this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, as a volunteer physician-led organization, so much of what happens is the dedication and expertise of our volunteer leaders. And so anyone who's a member of ACLM, they have the opportunity to plug into member interest groups that all have leadership, and some have different task forces working on various projects. In our structure, we also have committees, task forces, expert panels. So there are a number of ways to get involved, and we welcome that involvement.
Great. Kathy was saying the slide that you showed with the percentages on Earth, that should be in commercials. I agree. And let's see. I just saw a question about cultured meat. I'm guessing, is that lab grown meat maybe?
Yes. I can't say I'm an expert about these things. I'm definitely aware of them. And again, from hearkening back to Food Math 101, those slides I showed, where it shows that we are already at an unsustainable place in regard to animal-rich diets. I mean, we just do not have enough land, enough water, enough energy to produce a Western industrialized diet for the world. We just simply do not. And so for that reason, any alternative that shifts people away from a heavily animal protein-based diet to a more plant-based diet is good. When it comes to, as a medical professional association in the business of treating and reversing chronic disease, then what evidence shows overwhelmingly is again, I get back to the simplistic, because to me, along the way, the simplicity of really understanding it's that which grows from the ground and as close to nature's package as possible, because animal protein does not have fiber, for example, right? It's only the things that grow from the ground. And that's where our antioxidants and all those good things that really fight disease are. So.
Yep. Well, that Hans Diehl's been saying it for years.
That's right. That's right. I love Hans. I quote Hans as saying, Hans is like, we have a system right now that's about diagnosing the ill, prescribing the pill, and sending the patient home with the bill, and that has to change.
Oh, I love that. That is a wonderful saying. And Lisa was saying that you gave such a superior presentation, and Jesse concurred, and so do I. And you mentioned you live in St. Louis, so does that mean you know Dr. Jim Loomis and Karen Dugan?
I do. As a matter of fact, AJ, I've known Jim. Well, he and my husband were friends back when Jim was 70 pounds heavier than he is today, and he had metabolic syndrome. And it would have been back like, I don't know, maybe around 2009 or so that he was laying on the sofa recovering from knee surgery and happened to pop on Forks Over Knives. And that was the catalyst of his paradigm shift. And then flash forward, when Wayne Dysinger was recruiting me to take the reins of ACLM, I was also being recruited to run for state senate in the state of Missouri. Oh, wow. And I went out to lunch with Jim in late January 2014. And I said, gosh, Jim, I just we just started the Plantrician Project, just had the first international plant-based nutrition healthcare conference. I was being recruited to run for state senate. And then Wayne was, had offered me the opportunity to come and be part of ACLM, which I was such a fan of ACLM. And Jim and I were having lunch, and he said, Susan, name one state senator that you even know their name or know anything that any have ever done. And I thought, well, this is true. And he said, you have got to say yes to ACLM. And he said, I believe if you do, you will have the opportunity in a few years to be in Washington, D.C., truly making an impact on healthcare transformation in this country. And it was the next morning I woke up and I sent Wayne an email and said, I say yes. And so Jim's a dear friend. Karen is a dear friend. Karen was the social media manager for the Plantrician Project for its first probably 9 years. And so I love Jim and the work he's doing, love St. Louis Veg Girl and the St. Louis Center for Plant-Based Living. And they're both dear, dear friends.
Well, that's great. Well, we look forward to meeting Senator Benigas one day in the near future.
How about that? We got our work cut out for us on this transforming healthcare in the United States.
Yeah. Rwanda says, are any pharmaceutical companies invited to the event to educate and change the paradigm? I thought that's an interesting way to look at it. Yeah.
Well, that's a great question. I can't say that we've proactively extended any invitations, but we certainly would love for any to join and to join us and learn about this. I think that with all the trailblazing work that's been done by so many of the names that we've mentioned today, you'd have to be living under a rock to not know that the winds of change are blowing and that consumers are beginning to rise up and demand it's almost like informed consent. They're demanding that they be given a lifestyle medicine, food as medicine first approach to healthcare. Hey, lifestyle medicine is conventional medicine. All of our MDs, DOs, NPs, PAs, they prescribe medicine. They just are committed to doing that secondarily, right? So the first approach must be to treat the root cause of disease. And then medication has its place. Or if patients come and already are struggling with chronic disease and on medications, then our providers will focus on medication de-escalation, something that people aren't taught in medical school. It's never about medication de-escalation. So the pharmaceutical companies should not view this as, we're not the enemy of them. We want to partner with them to create sustainability. We want a sustainable healthcare system that's around for our children, for our grandchildren, because healthcare is not a infinite resource, right? It's a finite resource and it's a shared resource. So we really are all in this together.
Yeah. As I interview more and more doctors on this show, you don't have to be vegan to be on my show, although I do attract a lot of them. I was surprised that so many lifestyle medicine doctors aren't plant exclusive. That a lot of them, and I just kind of assumed, if you're vegan, you're lifestyle medicine, it's not always the case.
Well, true. And I would say I'm not even 100% exclusive. I am definitely plant predominant. And it is my dietary rule. It is my North Star. But on occasion, there may be an exception to that rule. And I think that this is one of the things that we don't even use the V words, we call them, because, vegan, someone could eat Oreos and drink Diet Coke and be a vegan, and that isn't exactly health promoting. And so the clarity of being, really advocating and the prescription being a whole food plant predominant dietary lifestyle is much more, it really communicates what our providers are wanting to convey, because the focus is not exclusively on what one does not eat. The focus must be on what one should be consuming, right? And so that's why I think that you'll see, there's nothing that ACLM has put out in the last 7.5 years that has talked about vegan or vegetarian, because it is about advocating for a whole food, plant predominant dietary lifestyle. And while many of our board members and members would consider themselves healthy vegan, it certainly isn't a requirement, but all would say that they are striving for that North Star of a whole food, plant predominant dietary lifestyle for themselves and for their patients.
Great, thanks. So Angela, I don't know if you know the answer to this, but as she typed it in the chat, Angela said, do you know if one can get certified as a health coach without being in the medical field? I'm in complementary alternative medicine as a massage therapist.
Well, I can speak to our Lifestyle Medicine for Coaches certification. Well, it's a certificate that we did, as I mentioned, in partnership with Well Coaches. So Meg Moore, who's the founding president of Well Coaches, she founded Well Coaches, I think, 21 years ago. She's really been a trailblazer in the coaching field. And she will often say that health coaching is 80% coaching and 20% lifestyle medicine. And she believes that, and I would agree, that lifestyle medicine is 80% lifestyle medicine, 20% coaching, right? Because behavior change is foundational. And so, but what we also know is that so often trained coaches, they are really trained to work with their clients to determine what is that client's goal, and then to do whatever necessary to help that client achieve their goal. The problem is that many people, they don't really know what their goals should be when it comes to their health. They don't really understand what is in their best interest to prevent, treat, and reverse disease. So that's why marrying lifestyle medicine training with best-in-class coach training is so effective. So that coach then has all that, the coaching expertise to guide, but also then becomes sort of a collaborator with that patient, with that client, in determining what those optimal goals should be in regard to their health. And so we forged a partnership several years ago. It was just maybe 3 years ago that the course launched, Lifestyle Medicine for Coaches, which you can learn more about at lifestylemedicine.org under our education tab. And so Meg Moore was she played such a key role in establishing the National Board of Health and Wellness Coaches to really create a standardization in the field. So anyone who has completed their core coach training through either Well Coaches or through any of the coach companies that are part of the National Board of Health and Wellness Coaches, if they've completed that, and for those that have sat for and become certified through the National Board of Health and Wellness Coaches, then they may complete the Lifestyle Medicine for Coaches course and receive a certificate as a lifestyle medicine trained health coach. So I know that was a lot of information there, but anyone can sign up certainly and take the Lifestyle Medicine for Coaches course. And it's a wonderful 20-hour course that really hits all the high points of lifestyle medicine and would be beneficial regardless of the field that one is in.
Well, that was great. I wasn't sure you would know the answer to that. So thank you so much. You guys just, I think I was at the ACLM conference many years ago, if it was ever in Loma Linda, and that would have been a really long time ago. But
very long time ago it was, yes.
Right.
Long before my time.
But the Plantrician conference, I mean, you do such an amazing job just getting the hotel to do the food. And I don't know how you guys do that, because I've done 19 conferences and it was like pulling teeth to not only get vegan, but to get oil-free vegan. And then when you don't want sugar and salt,
I know.
you guys really do a bang up job getting them to get the food amazing.
Yeah. It is a challenge for sure. And some hotel culinary staffs are far more accommodating than others. Some see it as a challenge and they want to rise to the occasion because they're also seeing the winds of change blowing. You know, certainly 10 years ago, plant-based, they were like, what is that? And now it's, you know, it is far more on the radar screen. And then we have found that some culinary staffs, they're almost offended at the suggestion that they would be asked to prepare food this way. So we, you know, much prefer working with those that are up for the challenge, and we've been blessed most of the time to do so.
Oh yeah, tell me about it. I remember I wanted to have an event at the Sheraton Universal because it was really, really nice. And when we had the test meal, I asked to speak to the chef, and he goes, "I don't like working with vegans." And I'm like, "Okay, well, thank you for letting me know." And then the guy that was in charge, he was really upset about that. Because we went to a different hotel.
Yes, I'm sure. It can be a make it or break it. But AJ, I just think, you've been, for me, I had my aha paradigm shift in late 2007. And it took a while for my head to just really get wrapped around it. That first year, I was just reading Overdosed America, The Pleasure Trap. I was just taking it all in. That was when I met Dr. Campbell. It took a while to totally settle in and just shift my entire paradigm. And you've probably been at this longer than I have, because you've really been on the cutting edge. And I am amazed, and I'm sure you are too, at how much, I call it the winds of change are blowing, and they really, really are. And it's exciting to see. So I think that more hotels, we're going to see less and less resistance as time goes on, which will make our jobs easier when it comes to producing these events at large venues.
Yeah, that'll be fantastic. Well, you have a fan watching named Karen Dugan, who's put a lot of X's and O's in the chat. And she said cooking classes from Center for Plant-Based Living are also available to patients. Susan knows us.
There you go. Absolutely. Karen has just been talking about another trailblazer, starting with St. Louis Veg Girl, and she would do segments on local television, and then started the St. Louis Center for Plant-Based Living, and has her brick and mortar, and now has shifted to virtual, and is just doing such an amazing job.
Wow. I'm just curious. I don't know if you know the answer to this, but are there certain specialties that are more driven towards lifestyle medicine, like maybe cardiology, for example, that you have more members of certain, specialties than others?
Yeah, that's a great question. When you look at our MDDO membership, which comprises over 50% of our members are MDs and DOs. Now, granted, used to be that almost 100%. They were MDs, DOs, and PhDs. So when we look at our physician membership, the vast majority are family medicine docs. They're primary care physicians, but many cardiologists, OBGYNs. I mean, when you just look at our board of directors, which is sort of a, kind of a snapshot, our treasurer, Kaushik Reddy, interventional cardiologist, our secretary on the board, OBGYN, our president, Kate Collings, cardiologist. Her background is exercise physiology. Our immediate past president, Dexter Sherney. He is he's been focused on worksite health promotion, and he was vice president of global benefits and chief medical officer for Cummins, which was a Fortune 200 company. He now is vice president at Adventist Health and heads the Blue Zones Institute there. And then our president-elect, Beth Frates, who has really been on the forefront of developing lifestyle medicine curriculum with Harvard. So it's a real cross-section when you look at our membership. But as far as specialties, heavily primary care. And when we think about the vision of ACLM, which is for lifestyle medicine to become the foundation of health and all healthcare, it certainly we need all primary care providers. So that would be our primary care physicians, our PAs, our NPs, to certainly be on the forefront. If we could reach all of them, then it would sort of be a trickle effect. But yes, cardiology, you know, when we know that heart disease is the #1 killer, and by and large, it's a lifestyle-related chronic disease that's preventable, treatable, often reversible. So many cardiologists, and we have our trailblazing leaders who are part of our membership that are reaching their various constituencies within ACLM.
Well, some of the lifestyle medicine doctors you recently mentioned, like Dr. Dexter Sherney, we're having a whole week, the last week of January 2021, dedicated to just ACLM. So perhaps you'll even be back introducing them. Who knows?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if I am. As a matter of fact, we have a meeting coming up soon to talk about the lineup, and we look forward to that.
No,
You're
an excellent host. Yeah, I could see you in like journalism or having your own show. You're very, very poised and very eloquent.
Well, thank you.
Of course.
Thank you so much.
You know, just like you mentioned, like certain specialties maybe lean more towards wanting to be involved in lifestyle medicine. Have you found that there's certain regions in the United States that are more interested, like maybe California, for example?
Well, you know, we often think that things sort of start on the coast and move inward, and trends or whatever. I know that with the International Plant-Based Nutrition Healthcare Conference, its first year it was in Florida, then shifted to California, where it's been ever since until going virtual last year and then again this year, because there was just such traction within like Kaiser Permanente and just early adopters, I guess you would say, you know, certainly. And then you look over at Rochester, New York, where you have Tom Campbell doing tremendous research and work there. You have Ted Barnett and the Rochester Lifestyle Medicine Institute. And so there's things happening, but great things happening all over. I mean, I think of almost every state where ACLM has, you know, over 7,000 members. So there's strong constituencies in every single state, all 50 states across the country. And tremendous work happening in Texas. You've got Padmaja Patel and all the tremendous work happening down at Midland Health and in Florida. It really is across the country. So I guess I'm encouraged that it isn't just compartmentalized to one particular region. I think we have catalysts for change, you know, those really enlightened medical professionals who have embraced lifestyle medicine, incorporated it into their own lives, into their medical practices, and they are wanting to spark change in their respective communities. So we're definitely doing what we can to support these efforts. We're doing a lot from a kind of a advocacy standpoint as well. We just had a group of some of our members meet with one of the Congress people from the state of Colorado just last week. They met with the health policy person. We've got another group that's meeting with one of the representatives down in the state of Arkansas. A lot happening, AJ, across the country. So we're encouraged.
That's fantastic. Elizabeth asks, what are the CPT codes for Medicare to get on or speak of to the providers that you mentioned before?
Yes, I don't have those memorized. That's one that I can't just recite off the top of my head, but there are time-related CPT codes that many of our docs do use for lifestyle medicine. And they use them also for even not only for one-on-one appointments, but for shared medical appointments and group visits. And we are keenly focused on addressing reimbursement barriers because everybody in this country, regardless of age, socioeconomic status, everyone deserves the opportunity and right to have a lifestyle medicine first approach to their healthcare.
Wow. How are you getting more doctors interested in it? Like other than what I call like the usual suspects?
You know, it is organic. It really is. And when we survey our members, the leading driver of kind of their why for joining ACLM and getting involved is word of mouth. It is word of mouth. And I think too, that as we release more courses, whether it's really across the continuum. I showed the medical education continuum, whether it's resources for pre-professional, UME, GME, CME, just ACLM's ability now with more people power and more resources to meet these needs. And as those needs are met, for filling that gaping void in medical education and for providing clinical practice resources, it's just drawing more and more people to the fold.
Wow. Well, I'm looking at who you have speaking. You've got one of my favorites, Dr. Wayne Dysinger. You've got Dr. Neil Barnard, I see. You've got some really great ones. You've got Robin Chutkin. You've got Columbus Batiste. So you've got some wonderful speakers lined up. I attended virtually last year when Dr. McDougall was honored.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah,
Oh,
we do have an incredible lineup of presenters, and the call for presentations for Lifestyle Medicine 2022 will go live immediately following the conclusion of this year's conference. And because we do intend to be back in person next year, and we'll be in Orlando at the Rosen Shingle Creek, and that will be, let's see. I can look up the dates if I can find them quickly enough. I want to say that that we're there mid-October. Let's see. I will no, actually, it is November. So in 2022, we'll be at the Rosen Shingle Creek, and that will be November 13th through 16th. Yeah, and so call for presentations will go live the middle part of November. And that will be for all the concurrent sessions. And we aren't having any concurrent sessions this year because of the virtual lineup. So it's all plenary sessions, but lots of pre and post conference workshops. And it's been exciting to see the interest and participation in those workshops where we can do a deeper dive training on various topics.
Wow. Well, as I look through the lineup A to Z, I'm like, half these people have been on my show and the other half are booked. So we have. That's fantastic.
You know this world well, AJ.
Well, thank you so much. I just find your story so inspiring and interesting. And thank you so much for the work you do.
Well, thank you so much for really being on the forefront. You're the champion for change with us. And so just grateful to you. And we look forward to being back with you in January.
Absolutely. I love that. You say again what you put light into the, I wrote it down and now I can't remember what I wrote down.
I think I said that I specialize in breathing life into vision.
I love that. That should be your tagline, even when you run for senator.
Okay.
That's a great one.
Thank you, AJ. It's been my pleasure.
Well, I would vote for you for sure. Thank you so much, Susan. And thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. Please come back tomorrow when we have two shows at 11 o'clock, the regular time. We have a fabulous chef doing a culinary demo, Chef James Rohrbark. And at 2 p.m., we have the daughter of Dr. Joel Furman, Talia Furman, making chocolate peanut butter bread from her new book, Desserts to Live For. Thanks again, Susan. It was so great catching up with you.
Thank you, AJ.